Today's speaker helps spiritual women dissolve old patterns of behavior, mindset, and beliefs that no longer serve them. It's time to adopt new ways of being, thinking, and creating.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is the Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Welcome, Giant Builders. So I'm here today with Sara Rae, and she's here to give us suggestions on how to manifest our dream life. So, hey, Sara Rae, how are you?
Hi, Lois. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, besides a stuffy nose.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Yes.
So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity for having me on here and talking about manifesting. I am a manifesting coach, and I'm also a master Reiki healer and a crystal healer and a medium and a tarot reader, and also an astrologer and a book publisher and all these crazy things that I do, all in the realm of new age and spirituality. My podcast is the Spiritually Inspired Podcast, where I explore all these topics and so many more. So we talk a lot about manifesting, we talk a lot about astrology, and we also talk a lot about just various new age spiritual growth topics, because that is my jam. That's what I love and am obsessed with. So if you know anything about me, it's that I am that new age friend that loves all the spiritual stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me what new age means.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, oh man, new age. I would say new age has anything to do with what there's a lot of negative words that are used in modern language that I don't like to use, that you might, when I say them, you will think of new age. Think woo woo, hippy dippy, or tree hugging, or anything along those lines. I would consider that in the new age category. We're talking healing crystals, astrology, chakras, sound bowl singing, meditation, potentially mindfulness too. Mindfulness is more in the personal growth category than the spiritual, in my opinion, but just anything in that realm. Anything that you would deem like kind of magical. Like my tagline is manifesting. Obviously, that's like as spiritual as you can get. Manifesting, mindfulness, and magic. So that's kind of everything that I consider to be new age. And when you go into like a metaphysical store, you're kind of like in the realm of pseudoscience a little bit. Although I believe personally that a lot of what we talk about in the new age community has scientific backing. So I don't like to use the word pseudoscience either, or the term woo woo really gets under my skin. But when I say that, you understand what I'm talking about. So that is new age.
How does this help us manifest our life dreams?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a huge topic, but
Okay.
spirituality helps you manifest, because all these new age topics, they help you manifest because they help you get to know yourself better. And the thing about manifesting is being able to stand in your own convictions and stand with confidence and know what it is that you want and to embody that. And you can't really embody a different version of yourself without that personal growth and that spiritual growth journey. They're kind of two sides of the same coin, personal and spiritual growth. But when you travel down that path, it just becomes so much easier to manifest because you just know yourself better, and you can change your own energy better, and you can grow better, and you can self-reflect a lot better. That's a lot of manifesting too.
What would be like a step process of getting to know yourself better?
Ooh, great question. Well, I have a technique that I like to teach my coaching clients. I call it, I mean, it's not very original, not a very original title, but call it catching it red-handed, catching the thoughts that in your head red-handed. This is where every like absolute beginners should begin. Everyone begins here at some point. When your thoughts are going through your head, you know, a lot of us have monkey brain where it's just seemingly out of control, thinking negative things. You're bullying yourself, your inner critic, your inner monologue. You catch thoughts red-handed that are not supportive, loving, or caring in any way towards yourself, and that are too judgmental. And you just start looking at them and you start realizing like what it is that you're thinking all the time. And when you start realizing this, you start to realize that you can change it. And that is so, so empowering. And that is the root of all manifesting right there, is knowing that you can change things. So always start with examining what thoughts are going through your head. What are your words that are your brain is thinking? Because soon you'll come to realize that that's the ego. And there's a whole nother side of yourself, the soul, subconscious, whatever, your higher self, that is meant to be working in tandem with the ego rather than the ego running the show. And when the ego is running the show, you get all that negative self-talk that is just so detrimental.
Okay, so I become aware of my negative thoughts and I stop them and say, hey, stop thinking that.
Yep. And
Okay.
then you turn it around immediately
Okay.
and state its opposite. Yep. So these ideally you'd be stating the opposite in an affirmation. Which so obviously it's a whole other topic, but basically, in short, an affirmation is a positive I am statement in the present tense. So I am wealthy is an example of an affirmation. So if you are constantly saying something like, I can't afford that, I don't make enough money, you go, oh, wait, I have the money now. The money is here now. I was just doing this with somebody yesterday. She was like, oh, I'm just so broke. I just can't afford anything. And I will never fulfill my dreams and all this stuff. And I'm like, the money is here now. And she was like, you're right. The money is here now. So that's an example of catching it red-handed, and it will just change your mindset. It will remind you of what's true, because a lot of what your thoughts are just aren't true. They're just lies.
Changing my thought process to be more true or positive or building myself up, that helps me to get closer to my dream life.
It does, because changing your mindset is one of the 4 phases of manifesting that I have realized exist over doing this for a long time with people. So I hesitate to call it like the first phase. It's just usually this is the phase that people start with, but it doesn't really matter because they're all cyclical. So you kind of just pick and choose where you need to go. It's just like constant balancing act between these 4 aspects of manifesting. And so mindset is one of them, mindset shifting. And then the next one / another one is intuitive planning, and then taking action. As you can imagine, that one's pretty self-explanatory. It's taking purposeful, mindful action. And then the 4th aspect of manifesting, or the 4th phase of manifesting, is just letting go and trusting.
The second one was intuitive
planning.
plan.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So this helps so many people, because I used to think it was just the mindset and then the action and then the letting go. But obviously taking action is huge, but what actions are you taking? And a lot of people have this really strong urge and desire, including myself, to plan things out and to like be prepared in some aspect, or at least think things through to some extent. And that's what we're meant to do in the intuitive planning things. But you have to spend time on things that will actually move you forward, whether or not you're a business owner or whether or not you're trying to manifest something more personal in your life, like a relationship. You have to you have to make a game plan, and then you have to start taking action on that plan. So these, obviously that's bleeding into the next phase, but intuitive planning is just really sitting here and sitting with what it is, the feelings that you want to manifest and how you want to go about manifesting them, such as a relationship. And you say, so what can I do that's different from what I'm doing now, that is positive, that I feel good about, that will get me closer to there? And what are things that are just time wasters that aren't moving the needle forward? What have I been doing that hasn't been working? And what could I do that could potentially be working? So that's what intuitive planning is all about.
Is it similar to like setting goals?
It is similar to setting goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
A lot of the goal setting process that works for you, or that can be explored in a million other places out there, that does fall into this category. But I don't like to lead with the setting goals, because the letting go phase makes it really important to be flexible about what the end result is. So you have to do all this work, and I made it seem really difficult to do, but you have to do this reflection, and then you have to come up with a game plan. And then you also have to be willing to step away from the game plan, or deviate, or go somewhere unexpected, or like follow your intuition and go where it feels right. Or at the very least, you need to be open to possibilities.
Okay.
The people who do crazy things in their lives, they always go, this is more incredible than I've ever thought I could have ever imagined, right? That's the sort of mindset you need to embody. You need to believe that something you can't even imagine is possible. So you're open to possibilities, which is a little different than what a goal might be in your brain, because in your goal, you have something quantifiable and specific that you're going after, right? But when you're manifesting, you are going after a feeling, not a thing. And that feeling can come to you in all kinds of things.
Okay. So what does a first meeting look like with you?
First meeting. Yeah. Okay. So our first session together in my program, Empowered Manifesting, is a 2 hour just full on examination. There's a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot of kind of exploring all the different areas of your life. I ask you questions to kind of determine where you are in the phases, and what you need to work on, and what sort of techniques will work for you, what your spiritual preferences are, and these sorts of things. We're just really getting to know what your spiritual journey is going to be looking like. And we also pull tarot cards, and that's also very insightful for people. Tarot is a great way to explore yourself in a deeper way, in a really gentle way. We also tend to look at astrology charts, but I don't do that officially. I just, because I think it's cool. But we always do tarot, and we always figure out what our manifesting game plan is going to be over the course of 2 hours. So that's the first meeting in Empowered Manifesting. And there's also one-off sessions where there are only 60 minutes, not part of Empowered Manifesting, that we do a lot of the same things. We dig deep, we figure out what's going to work for you, what resonates and what doesn't, and where the opportunities are for manifesting improvement. And yeah, so we kind of go through, we peel back all the layers first session.
Is there a common theme that keeps people from reaching their dream life?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's believing that you're worthy of it and that it's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of deep work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've created plenty of resources about it, and I can talk to you all day long about how to improve your self-worth, or that you are worthy, straight up, like, hey, you deserve this. But that's never going to affect anything if you're not doing the work yourself and believing it yourself.
Is there any alignment with your spiritual journey with like a Christian journey?
No, that's totally appropriate. I would say it could be. Absolutely. I was raised Lutheran all growing up. By my mom took me to a Lutheran church. And then when I was a little older and kind of exploring spirituality on my own, I went to a Catholic church for many years. And I believe personally that if you have a connection with God, God wants to help you live your dream life. Like, there's absolutely no reason why God wouldn't want that for you. So
I agree. Yes.
yeah. So I always think of it that way, that you're just having a one-on-one meeting with God. You can picture it as like a business meeting. I always like to picture communication with spirit as like a really official business meeting. And just be like, hey, let's work this out. Let's collaborate here. Let's go back and forth. Let's figure it out. And in that process, you start to discover that you are worthy, because if you have that connection with God, especially from a Christian sense, because I understand that a lot of Christians do have that really deep connection with God, that's all you're doing. You're just talking to him, and he says, hey, you are worthy. You can have it. Let's do it.
Oh, definitely. God does feel that we are worthy. We are his creation and his children. So why wouldn't he want us to
exactly
have that connection? To
go
think,
ahead.
oh, we're meeting with the CEO of the universe.
Yeah, the CEO of the universe. That's funny. I love that. And then who would be the CFO, I wonder?
Oh.
In that scenario.
So I'm assuming that because everyone's on their own journey, that the process could take different time frames.
Yeah, timing's a big one for sure. Yeah, it does. I would say it depends mostly upon your willingness to just go all in, and your belief in its possibilities, because that's really what holds you up. Your willingness to go all in and just do all the work that incorporates it, with the mindset shifting and letting go, which is its whole other thing, and taking action, all this stuff. If you're actively doing all these things, it probably won't take as long as you might think. It also depends on the scope of what it is you're trying to manifest. Like, I have a couple of clients who want to find their soulmates, and I have other clients who want to manifest hotel chains. So, I mean, you can see how these different things will take different time frames, but your willingness to go all in and just do it is determinant. And also, like I said, your belief in its possibilities and how fast it's coming to you, and the fact that it's already yours, and all these other mindset shifts that come along with manifesting. Yeah, your willingness to believe those massively affects how long it takes for you to manifest.
So what happens if somebody thinks their direction is something that would actually be kind of evil?
Like, they think their own actions are evil?
Well, no, not necessarily. Maybe, okay. So I mean, what came to mind was Putin. You know, I mean,
Okay.
he thinks that what he's doing is right or good.
Yeah.
So how can we direct people who really aren't going in a good direction?
I see. To answer this question, I'm going to have to dig into my own personal belief system.
Okay.
But how I answer this question might not resonate with you. But
Okay.
this is how I feel I want to answer, is that karma will always come. And then not in like a judgmental, like karma's coming for you kind of way, but karma's always involved. And there's, to some extent, I always believe that the quote best case scenario always plays out no matter what. So that's my personal belief in the magical universe when we're talking about God and we're talking about the spiritual connections and the higher selves and the links between all living life. I truly believe that it's always the best case scenario that is happening right now for this moment, for the exact type of energy that we're existing in right now. So when we have horrible things happening, it's kind of weird, but there's like a weird comfort in my own personal belief of, well, this is what was best for what we are experiencing right now. Like there are tons of other possibilities that we could have experienced, but this truly was the best one. Because karma just works out that way. Karma makes it so when we experience a certain energy, like we're only attracting that kind of energy. And that's a law of attraction too. I hope that makes sense. But that I want to answer that question with karma.
Okay.
It's kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And it sucks because we perceive other people as doing things that aren't good,
Mhm.
which is, as much as I hate to say it, it is objective, the moral ethics of people. You could obviously say like what Putin is doing or what is happening in that part of the world and all these things is evil. We can all pretty much agree on that. But some people would be like, no, I agree, because otherwise they wouldn't have supporters, right? So it is an objective thing. So, and a subjective thing. So
I would definitely agree. Okay, what you share as karma, I would say to me is like evil control of the earth. And that if you would, in my belief system, is this the earth belongs to Satan, and he has basically a control over that area that God also shares in control. And sometimes Satan holds an area and we pray and wait for God to say that's enough, and or for him to rise up the people to say you've gone too far. So I think we have the same kind of definition, only different words used.
interesting. I love that visualization. It's kind of like a yin yang situation going
Yeah.
on where there's two different types of energies that need each other to exist.
Mhm.
Interesting. That'll give me some food for thought. I like
Okay.
that one. Yeah. Yeah. I have a question for you. Do you feel
Okay.
like you've ever manifested anything in your life?
As far as accomplished,
Yeah. If
oh
you
yeah,
feel like you've attracted things.
oh
So
definitely.
I like to explore your mindset before you did that successful thing and after you've had that successful. Like what was the gap between your mindset before you took on the challenge and the mindset during the challenge, mindset after the challenge? How did you change that way?
Thinking through this process. I have I'm more set on goals as my manifestation, if you will. And so I like to say that I go towards goals. And if I come to a roadblock, I don't think that as a negative. I just think of it as a new fork in the road. And so then I go a different direction, or I tweak the goal because maybe that's not really what I feel God wants for me.
Yes, exactly. You do it. That's exactly what the intuitive planning and the taking action and letting go phases all are at work, and the
Mhm.
manifest or mindset shifting phase too. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Hey,
The
so any closing thoughts? Like,
law of attraction is always in action. We are always manifesting, but we're not always deliberately manifesting. So
great.
if you want to learn how to deliberately manifest, you can. Otherwise, it's more of like just the universe just reacting to you all the time, as opposed to sitting down with God and saying, let's work this out. And God going, yes, let's do this. And then God is leading you different places, but you're also doing half the work, and you have your mindset work and all this stuff. It is possible and it's simple. it's a lot easier than you might think it is. But if you don't do this, then you're just kind of living on autopilot
Yeah.
forever.
And that's a sad place to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's dark for sure.
Yeah. So, well, great. Well, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find me over at the Spiritually Inspired Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you're listening to this now. I guarantee I'll be on there. Spirituallyinspired.co is where you can find me. And if you go find my whole everything that I do, all the things I've going on, books, coaching, sessions, tarot readings, lives, all these things. But the one thing I'm going to direct you to that you don't want to miss out on, and you go to spirituallyinspired.co/free group. And you'll join our Facebook group where I go live every week. I do astrology forecasts and tarot readings and other fun guided rituals, live meditations, live Reiki healing for free. Because Reiki healing otherwise would, cost money. That's one of the services I do, but I give it away for free in my free group. So if that's something that interests you, go to spirituallyinspired.co/free group.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me and having all the deep questions. It was awesome. I loved it. Thank you.
Good. All right, Giant Builders. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.